The text message came through at 11:32 p.m. Sarah was already in bed, scrolling through her phone. It was from their bank. Account balance low. Your checking account is below $50. She showed Marcus. He stared at it. Tomorrow was payday, so they'd be fine. But still, $50. With two full-time incomes, with both of them working their asses off every single week. How does that even happen? Welcome to WealthSimplify, where we make money simple enough for anyone to understand. Stick around and watch this whole video, because if you skip even one part, you will miss something important. While you are here, consider subscribing and giving this video a like. It tells YouTube algorithm that you are serious about improving your money, and YouTube will start showing you more relevant content like this video that actually helps you succeed. You found this video for a reason, so make it count. Let me tell you something that's going to sound insane. Sarah and Marcus are in the top 25% of American earners. They make $138,000 a year combined. Sarah brings in $67,000 working in marketing. Marcus makes $71,000 in IT. They have college degrees. They have good jobs. They did everything society told them to do. And they're one unexpected expense away from disaster. Always. Last month, their refrigerator died. Just stopped working. They had to replace it immediately because they have 2 kids and groceries go bad fast. The new one cost $1,400. They put it on a credit card because their savings account had $890 in it. This is not a story about poor people struggling to get by. This is a story about successful people who can't understand why success feels like failure. Want to know the really messed up part? Sarah's grandmother raised 4 kids on one income in the 1960s. Her grandfather worked at a factory. They owned a house. They had a car. They took a vacation every summer to a lake cabin. They saved money. Sarah and Marcus have 2 professional incomes totaling nearly $140,000, and they can't afford a broken refrigerator without going into debt. What changed? Let me show you exactly how this trap works, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And more importantly, you can escape it. 4 years ago, Sarah and Marcus got married. They combined their finances. Smart move, right? They sat down and did the math. Marcus was making $65,000. Sarah was making $58,000. Combined household income of $123,000. They started dreaming. With that kind of money, they could buy a real house. Not an apartment, not a condo, a house with a yard, in a good school district because they were planning to have kids soon. They found the perfect place. 3 bedrooms, great neighborhood, excellent schools rated 9 out of 10. The mortgage was $2,600 a month. Steep, but the mortgage broker smiled and said, "With your combined income, you're pre-approved. No problem at all." They signed the papers. They moved in. They painted the nursery blue. Here's what nobody told them. That decision, that one decision to buy a house based on 2 incomes, locked them into a financial prison. They just didn't know it yet. Because here's the thing. Their parents' generation, the ones who bought houses on single incomes, they had something Sarah and Marcus gave away without realizing it. They had a backup plan. Think about it. In a traditional single-income household, one person works, one person stays home. If the working person loses their job or gets sick, the person at home can enter the workforce. It's not ideal. It's not what you want, but it's possible. It's an emergency reserve you can tap into when disaster strikes. Sarah and Marcus already used their reserve. Both of them are already working. Both incomes are already committed, already spent, already promised to the mortgage company, the car payments, the daycare, the health insurance, all of it. There's no backup. There's no plan B. There's no margin. So when Marcus's company did layoffs last year and he was unemployed for 11 weeks, what happened? Chaos. Complete financial chaos. They burned through the tiny emergency fund they had in 3 weeks. Then they started using credit cards for groceries, for gas, for everything. Marcus found a new job, thank God. But they're still paying off the debt from those 11 weeks. It's been 14 months, and they're still recovering. This is what I call the flexibility tax, and most people don't even know they're paying it. Let me break down where Sarah's $67,000 salary actually goes, because this is where it gets really ugly. First, taxes. Since her income stacks on top of Marcus's, it gets taxed harder. Federal income tax, state income tax, Social Security, Medicare. By the time the money hits their account, that $67,000 is really about $47,000. Already lost 20 grand, but we're just getting started. They have 2 kids. Emma is 4, Liam is 2. Both need full-time daycare while Sarah and Marcus work. The daycare center charges $1,350 per month per child. That's $2,700 a month, $32,400 a year. Sarah's take-home just went from $47,000 to $14,600. Sarah drives 40 minutes to work each way, 80 minutes a day in the car. Gas, oil changes, tire replacements, brake pads, general wear and tear, plus insurance and registration. Her commute costs about $6,500 per year. We're now at $8,100. Here's the part nobody talks about. Sarah and Marcus are exhausted, completely wiped out. They both work full days, fight traffic, pick up kids, try to feed everyone dinner, do bath time, bedtime, and then collapse on the couch. They don't have energy to cook elaborate meals. They order DoorDash twice a week. They buy the pre-cut vegetables because washing and chopping feels impossible at 7 p.m. They hire someone to clean the house twice a month because scrubbing toilets on Saturday sounds like torture when you've been grinding all week. These exhaustion expenses, the convenience costs of 2 people working full-time, add up to about $7,000 a year, compared to a household where someone has time for cooking, cleaning, and managing the home. Do the math. Sarah works 40 hours a week, misses tucking her kids into bed most nights, sits in traffic 80 minutes every single day, and her $67,000 salary contributes a grand total of $1,100 to their household budget. That's $21 per week. That's $4.23 per workday. She's working for less than minimum wage and feeling guilty for not spending enough time with her kids. It's the worst of both worlds. Now here's where this gets really dark. Because Sarah and Marcus didn't choose this. Not really. They got forced into it by something bigger than them. In the 1970s, most families had one income. So when families shopped for houses, they competed based on one salary. Housing prices reflected what one income could afford. Then something shifted. More women entered the workforce, which is great. More opportunity, more independence, more choice. But here's the unintended consequence. Families suddenly had 2 incomes to spend on the same houses. And when everyone has more money chasing the same product, what happens to prices? They explode. Housing prices didn't just go up, they skyrocketed. Because now you weren't competing against other families with one income. You were competing against families with 2 incomes who could bid more. So you had to bring 2 incomes to the table just to have a chance. It's like an arms race. Everyone upgraded their weapons. Everyone brought more firepower. And at the end, nobody won. You just need more ammunition now to fight the same battle. The median home price in 1970, adjusted for inflation, was about $195,000 in today's dollars. The median home price in 2026 was $517,000. It more than doubled, not because houses got twice as big or twice as nice, because buyers had twice the income. Sarah and Marcus aren't paying more because they're getting more. They're paying more because everyone else has two incomes too. The second paycheck didn't create wealth. It created inflation in the exact things families need most: housing, healthcare, childcare, education. All the costs that you can't avoid if you want a middle-class life. Here's the trap spelled out clearly. You need two incomes to afford what one income used to buy. But having two incomes means you've spent your backup plan. So you're locked in. Forever. No flexibility. No room to breathe. No ability to handle the unexpected. And life is nothing but unexpected. So what do? How do you escape? Sarah and Marcus figured it out. It took a financial crisis to wake them up, but they figured it out. Here's what they did. They stopped budgeting based on two incomes. They stopped pretending both paychecks were permanent and guaranteed. Instead, they restructured their entire life around Marcus's income alone. Just his $71,000. They refinanced their house to lower the payment. They sold Sarah's car and became a one-car family. They moved Emma and Liam to a less expensive daycare that was still safe, but not as fancy. They cut subscriptions. They shopped differently. They made 100 small changes. And here's what happened. Their fixed monthly expenses dropped to $4,200. Marcus's take-home pay is about $4,600 per month, which means they can survive, not thrive, but survive on his income alone. Sarah's entire paycheck became optional. Not optional in the sense that she quit her job, optional in the sense that they don't need it to avoid disaster. Every dollar of her salary now goes somewhere powerful. First, they rebuilt their emergency fund to $25,000. Took them 14 months, but they did it. Then they started maxing out both of their 401s. Then they opened a brokerage account and started buying index funds every month. Within 2 years, something incredible happened. Their investments started generating returns. Not life-changing money yet, but enough that they noticed, enough that it mattered. And more importantly, they had something they'd never had before: options. When Marcus got a job offer last month that would require relocation, they could actually consider it. They weren't trapped. When Sarah's company announced layoffs, she didn't panic. She knew they could survive on Marcus's income if she lost her job. They built margin. They built flexibility. They built the thing that single-income families in the 1960s had, that dual-income families today have lost. They built a cushion between their life and disaster. Let me be clear about something. This isn't about Sarah quitting her job. This isn't about going back to the 1950s. This isn't about traditional gender roles or any of that. This is about understanding the trap so you can avoid it. Most couples look at their combined income and build their lifestyle up to that level. They buy the house that two incomes can afford. They lease the cars that two incomes can support. They commit to expenses that require both paychecks to flow forever without interruption. And then they're stuck, locked in, trapped. The alternative is simple. Structure your fixed costs so one income can cover them. Live below your means based on your combined income. And use that gap to build wealth instead of funding a lifestyle you can't actually afford. It requires sacrifice. It means driving past houses you technically qualify for. It means saying no to things your friends are buying. It means looking less successful on the surface. But here's the payoff. Within 5 years, you'll have built something real. Something that can't be taken away by a layoff or a recession or a medical emergency. You'll have security. Actual security, not the appearance of it. Your grandparents had one income and more stability. You have 2 incomes and less security. That's not a coincidence. That's the trap. But now you see it. And once you see it, you can escape it. The question is, will you? If this video opened your eyes to something you have been experiencing but could not put into words, leave a comment and let me know. Share this video with someone you believe it could help and open their eyes as well. We are here to make money make sense. Because it should. I will see you in the next one.